homecoming race has a new contender.
That crown is going to be mine.
A night most girls want to remember. She'll never forget.
Why is it every time I go somewhere with you, it always ends in violence and terror?
And only Buffy.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
And this week we're going to be diving into Season 3, Episode 5, Homecoming.
Yes.
So I think it has something to do with werewolves.
It's always werewolves with you.
That's right, that's right. What else do we need in the world?
Just werewolves. Just
right.
werewolves and sexy vampires.
That's right.
And someone equally as sexy to slay them.
Sexy. So, James.
Yes, sir.
How you been this last week, buddy? How you doing?
I can't complain. How about yourself? I see you're stealing my look.
Yes. I specifically went to my eye doctor and said, make me like James.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. No, yeah, I'm old. I've noticed over the last several months eye issues, and I thought, well, it's probably about time to go have the old eyes checked, and I did, and it was quite an involved deal that I don't recall it being so involved when I was younger, but and then she does some things with the thing up to your face, and she goes click, 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 and then she goes, how's that look? And I was like, holy fuck. Yeah, I can see shit. And she laughed, and she's like, yeah, you're pretty nearsighted. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, and I think you need a bifocal also. And I was like, okay. So that's what we did. And so here we are, and still trying to get used to the whole bifocal thing and yada yada. But that's where we are. Just all this sexy wrapped up in one package.
It is.
You know?
I mean, consider yourself lucky. You're what, 40? You're gonna be 43?
I'm 44 now.
You're 44. So I mean, you made it 44 years without needing glasses. I've had mine since grade school. So
I've had some reading glasses over the years, but never, nothing like this.
Right.
Things I would wear sometimes for reading or whatnot, but now it's like, yeah, I'm pretty much blind without them.
I vividly remember when I got my first pair of glasses being shocked, like noticeably shocked, how much brighter things looked.
Yeah, and
because they were clearer.
Yeah, and it's made it seem like colors were. I was like, wow, how long have I not been able to see colors this well? It's like, okay, I guess I really was sort of blind.
That is what I remember most vividly from getting my first pair of glasses all those years ago, was just being utterly shocked at how bright and vivid colors were.
Yeah. Yeah, when she did all that clicking around and then she goes, how does that look? I go, whoa. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And she laughed. She's like, yeah, you're pretty nearsighted. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize.
Well, welcome to the world of the seeing.
Yes, thank you.
You're quite welcome. If you don't have anything else, we do have a comment left on episode 2, Dead Man's Party.
Okay.
From our good friend Silver Siren.
Okay.
She says, like the new sliding effect, it's referring to the editing I'm doing on the YouTube videos now.
Oh, okay.
I know you don't watch them, so you don't see all the hard work I put into them.
That's not true. I check almost every one. I just don't watch the whole when I listen to the whole episode, each episode, which I generally do, I listen to it through Spotify because I usually have it in my pocket and my earbuds in.
Yeah.
But I usually check out all the videos too.
So
Especially
yeah,
if we say or do something insanely stupid, then I want to see it. Like I want to see the actual video of it. So
like this gem.
yeah, I'll
take you to the docks.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, so I decided to play around with the video editing software a little more this season. So I'm adding some more visual effects and transitions in between cuts and stuff. So I appreciate somebody out there noticing.
Somebody. Oh, sorry.
She also says, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about James's attraction to problematic women.
Oh, yes, as are we all.
Which I don't think we'll be diving into that here on the podcast.
No deep dives into that.
No deep dives into my attraction to problematic women.
Damn.
Just know, I don't know if this is something that I mentioned while we were recording, or if it was something that you and I were talking about before or after recording had ended. Just know that my attraction to problematic women, 175% definitely started with Callisto on Hercules: The Legendary Journeys.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's all comment wise.
Do you think there was ever a Hercules, the not so legendary adventures?
Well, yeah, of course. They weren't
Like
gonna
like where they were just like, say that day they got up and they just I don't know, they just like played checkers and
right. But I mean, that's all it was. They just played checkers for the day, and maybe went to the market. So he
maybe
wasn't gonna
Hercules and what was his name? Aeolus.
Aeolus.
Maybe they just like made out that day.
Maybe, yeah. But I mean,
I bet that would piss off what's his face, Kevin. What's his name?
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. Oh, that would make him so mad because he's such a like Christian Republican crazy man.
Right. But yeah, of course they don't write about that stuff or turn it into movies or TV shows
But we do agree that Hercules was a raging homosexual.
I mean, ancient Greece, yeah.
Kevin Sorbo specifically.
Kevin Sorbo, the actual person, is a raging
both
homo.
His character and him.
I would say it was ancient Greece, so there's a very good chance that Hercules was getting down with other dudes.
And he was the bottom to Aeolus, right?
Wow.
I'm pretty sure.
That's possible. I guess we could ask Michael Hurst. I think that was the actor's name that played Aeolus.
We'll just ask Kevin Sorbo on Twitter.
Do you think he's going to tell the truth? You think he's going
well,
I'm probably already blocked. I'm probably already blocked on Kevin Sorbo's Twitter. There's a good chance that once Lucy Lawless started trolling him on Twitter, he went through. He went
trolling him?
Yeah, he went through and automatically blocked anybody that followed her. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know she trolled him. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So that's all I have for comments.
Pardon me while I slam things into my mic.
I did post. I know you saw it, Jeremy. I don't know if you read the article. I posted an article from the Hollywood Reporter. It was.
I read a couple of different ones. I read one like a day before you posted that, and then the one you posted was slightly different, but it was from the same like interview.
Yeah. So the Hollywood Reporter is the original article and interview, and then all the other sites kind of picked up from the Hollywood Reporter and focused on different things. But the general idea of the article, it's a interview with Sarah Michelle Gellar and
Sorry,
uh,
who?
Sarah Michelle Gellar,
Never heard of
and she's an up and coming actress.
her. Is she
Yeah,
up and coming?
yeah. Um, and they talked to her husband Freddie Prinze Jr. a little bit for the article too.
Who?
Huh?
Sorry, who?
Freddie Prinze Jr. Fred Jones.
Never heard of him.
Whatever, dude. I know you've got your DVD of Summer Catch ready to roll as soon as we're done here.
Well, no, he creeps me out a little bit because he knows what I did last summer.
That's true.
You know,
He's
as does SMG.
he's a big Star Wars guy. So
Yeah,
you have that in common. He voiced Kanan.
Well, of course, he knows true American greatness when he sees it.
Right.
Unlike some people I know.
Right. He was also, I actually didn't know this, kind of sidetracking a little bit. I didn't know this until fairly recently. He was a writer for WWE.
Yeah, that's kind of like saying you're the nicest guy in prison, though.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this article kind of it covers all of Sarah Michelle Gellar's career, her legacy in the industry. And obviously, it delves quite a bit into Buffy. And what I specifically wanted to address was they brought up the allegations of the toxicity on the Buffy set, and she has kind of said some stuff on it in the past.
She's alluded to it.
Most notably, she did say around the time when it was kind of blowing up again with Charisma Carpenter saying what she had said about Jost, and then Michelle Trachtenberg coming out and saying,
and Emma Caulfield.
Sarah Michelle did come out and say that she's very proud of Buffy. She's very proud of everything that everyone accomplished with Buffy, but she does not want her name forever linked with Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
So, pretty good idea where she stands.
And she said she would never tell her story.
Well, and that's what. So in this article, she's quoted as saying, when it's brought up, she's quoted as saying, "I'll never tell my full story because I don't get anything out of it. I've said all I'm going to say because nobody wins, everybody loses." So I'm curious, and I posed this to the listeners on the Facebook page when I posted the article. What do you think about that, Jeremy? Do you think she should be speaking out more about the toxicity on the set and what happened, or do you agree with her? She's kind of said what she's going to say about it, and that's it. Let sleeping dogs lie, so to speak.
Well, I 1,000% understand what she's saying and where she's coming from. And like you said, sometimes it's better to just leave sleeping dogs lying. But I'm torn here. On the other hand, I'm like, well, you were the star, you were the lead. You had the most power on set, which also in that article it talks about how she used that to help her fellow castmates and crew members and whatnot combat the evil forces of He Who Must Not Be Named.
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, I totally understand where she's coming from, but on the other hand, I feel like she's got the voice and the power to, maybe she doesn't have to tell her story so much as I think it would help if she just came forward and said, listen, this is the shit. I'm not going to talk about my own personal situation with this fucking cretin, but these are the kinds of things that absolutely went on, that I absolutely saw, and this is why I don't want to be forever linked with this person.
Right.
So yeah, it's sad that something that was so good, these two shows, have to be tainted by this guy, this fucking ass clown. But you know, it is what it is. Hopefully he'll die soon. And no, really, I mean, fuck him. Hopefully he'll die, and I think the franchise can be beloved by more people, and maybe some of these people who were so negatively impacted, like Charisma Carpenter, Emma Caulfield, you know, Michelle Trachtenberg, etc., can maybe, I don't want to say, maybe they can heal. You know, maybe they can, once he's gone, they can maybe embrace the franchise a little bit, and just remember it for the good, I guess.
Right.
Because it is that I think important, and that whatever the word you want to put with it, for the fans like us, you know, it is
Right.
that good.
Right.
And I hate to see it tainted by such scumbaggery, but
Right.
it is what it is. What do you think?
I'm actually very much in line with what you said. I'm torn about it. I kind of feel like she's I feel on one hand like she's pretty very clearly and very loudly um stated her thoughts on it, and even if it was just by saying I'm very proud of the work we did on Buffy. I'm very proud of how it was and is received, but I don't want to forever be associated with the name Joss Whedon. um, I think that says a lot. I think that's um, especially at the time she said it, you know, clearly all the allegations that were flying around. I think that says a lot about the validity of those allegations. Um, so I'm like you. On one hand, I really don't think she needs to say more. Um, but on the other hand, like you pointed out, she was the star of the show. Um, from everything I've read, it seems like she did do as much as she possibly could at the time to keep things rolling smoothly to and whatnot. But I on that hand do feel that as the star of the show, she does. I don't want to say obligation, but for lack of a better word, have an obligation to, you know, kind of lay out what was going on and what the deal was. Um, but again, you know, that's 25-30 years in the past. You know, um, she's clearly moved on. Um, you know, I think as much as it still might taint the people involved's memories, um, I do feel that they've at least been able to, um, as we as fans have to, they seem to have been able to separate the work they did on those shows and how good it was and how much it means to people from their unfortunate personal experiences on the show.
Yeah.
So which is good. And I think as fans, you know, especially this day and age when um, I hesitate to use the term cancel culture is so prevalent. Um, I don't really like the term cancel culture because as opposed to people being canceled for the things that they're doing, I view it more as like people reaping the repercussions of the stupid shit they're
Yeah.
saying and doing.
And
You
I'm like,
know,
how the fuck have we not fucking shut him off and
right?
buried him away
You
somewhere?
know, and suffering the consequences of that.
I mean,
Um,
look at the bullshit he pulled in the Marvel universe, you know,
right, right,
and the division and chaos he's created there. And
right.
I'm like, can we get rid of this fucking guy already? You know?
But yeah, with so many um, uh, people kind of falling into that category of, well, you've said and done stupid, remarkably heinous shit, and you know, um, and unfortunately, they're people that are involved in things that people genuinely love and care about. You do have to separate that as a fan from the person. Because let's face it, we've talked about this before. Let's face it, um, it wasn't just Joss Whedon putting this show out there every week, or
Yeah.
Angel out there every week. There was dozens, if not hundreds, of people involved in front of the camera, behind the camera, um, making this what it was. Not
Yeah,
just
these shows didn't succeed because of him.
right,
To me, they succeeded and were great in spite of him.
right. Um, and that's something that's kind of touched on in this article too, when they were talking to Freddie Prinze Jr. Um, uh, he says at one point that he who shall not be named was infuriated that Sarah Michelle Gellar was getting the recognition for the show and he wasn't.
Oh,
And it's like, dude, what do you like? She's the fucking face of the show. She's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You're
you're an ugly little troll boy who needs to never show your face again.
you're the dude behind the camera. Like you're a name on paper. Like, you know, we were kind of at a time. I think now people care more, but I think back then in the mid to late '90s, people, even fans, weren't really paying attention to who was doing shit behind the scenes.
No, as
Um,
it should be. That there's a reason it's be called that it's called in front of the camera and
right,
behind the camera.
right. I will say I do think Buffy as a fandom did kind of open the door for other fandoms to start caring more about who was doing stuff behind the scenes.
I think Star Wars and Star Trek were exceptions to that
Okay.
because everyone knew George Lucas,
Right.
who were Star Wars fans, and everyone knew Gene Roddenberry, who were Star Trek fans.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, you're right. It was the behind the scenes, behind the camera people. I mean, that's just what you signed on for,
Right. Right. Um, but yeah, I think, like you said, probably with the exceptions of maybe Star Trek and Star Wars, I really think Buffy the fandom did kind of open the door for other fandoms to really pay attention to who was writing these scripts, who's directing these episodes, like what's the talent not in front of the camera that's kind of creating the talent in front of the camera, so to speak. Um, so
And unfortunately, that's when we met Joss Whedon.
right. And unfortunately, it would still be many years before the world at large found out just exactly who he was.
Yeah.
So,
And I really, I wish we had like millions of listeners or something because I would love to say, please, Hollywood, please get fucking rid of this guy. I mean, he's clearly a cancer on the industry.
yeah, I mean, I don't.
Talented, yes, but so was fucking Harvey Weinstein and
Right,
people like that.
right,
That doesn't forgive the fact that they are a cancer.
right. I mean, my personal take on it is I think he's done. I think he's done.
I hope.
Um, uh, I don't think you're gonna see him landing big studio deals or anything like that anytime soon. Um, I think if anything does move forward with Buffy or Buffy related properties, it's gonna be sans Joss Whedon.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Um,
no question on that.
so um,
Now, on a different note, I did hear the highly talked about um, reboot of Buffy has gotten the axe.
yeah, that's been floating around for a while that it's kind of been put on the back burner um for the time being. Um, so
I don't personally want to see it happen. I don't.
yeah, I mean,
The whole reboot remake culture drives me crazy anyway. I'm like, you know, Leave it alone.
Yeah, I agree, but I think I disagree more. And there's a really good if you get a chance, and I'll send you to the link later. And I urge anyone listening to search this out too. On YouTube, there's a video called the the dangers of nostalgia or something to that effect. And it's a really good video that kind of lays out um, the 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 dangers of um, holding on to something that you loved and not letting it grow for the next generation and the generation after that. Um,
I'm okay with that though, because fuck the next generation.
but
It's all
then,
about me and my generation, okay?
yeah, yeah,
Create your own shit, assholes.
yeah. Um, so I do disagree. I think these properties, this Highlander, um, we've seen it with cartoons that I grew up on. I know you did. Thundercats, He-Man, things like that.
For me though, these reboots, remakes, reimaginings, whatever, they always suck.
They suck because you're looking at them through the lens of nostalgia for
No, I'm
what
looking at them through the lens of reality.
no
And the lens of reality says this thing is a steaming pile of horse poo poo.
no that's a big part of that is your nostalgia for what came originally. And the things we have to understand is that when something gets rebooted or reimagined for the next generation, that's not for us. That's for the next generation. That's
All I'm
because
saying is, why can't they just create new shit?
there's never been anything new
No,
created.
you know what I mean. Though. You know what I mean. Like, why, like our generation, we weren't sitting around watching a bunch of remakes of Gunsmoke and fucking, that kind of stuff. It was all new stuff. To me, it's not a lack of creativity. There's plenty of creativity in Hollywood and in writers and whatnot. To me, it's greedy, slimy fucking executives who don't want to take a risk on anything anymore, like how things used to get made. They're just like, well, let's just, oh, you remember that thing? What was it called? The blonde girl, the Slayer or the killer, Buffy the Vampire. Let's milk that fucking thing to its bloody fucking core, you know.
I I think in some cases there is a significant amount of that going on. I think I think in a lot of cases what's happening is the the people who grew up with those things are now the people making the things.
Yeah.
And they say and they and I
And they
mean
loved it and they want to
and
bring
they
it.
loved it and they want to put their touch on it. Like, listen, Jeremy, you and I both know if Lionsgate or whoever currently owns the rights to Highlander came
Lionsgate.
t-
Yeah.
came to you and I and said, "Here's 200 million," which would be an outlandish budget for a Highlander movie.
That would be way overkill.
Right. Gave threw 100 million at us and said, "We want you guys to make a Highlander movie." We would jump at that chance.
Oh my God.
We would jump at
First of all, I would climax in my pants,
like,
and then I would jump at that chance.
we would 100% jump on that chance, and you and I would make the best Highlander movie that you and I could make based
Sure.
on but it would be based on nostalgia for the franchise and what we would like to see in a remake or a reboot or a reimagining. And you know what? Once it premieres, there's going to be people like us that go to see it and they're going to be like, this is bullshit. This is crap.
Yeah, but I am the type, like, it wouldn't be a reboot and it wouldn't be a remake, and it wouldn't be a reimagining. I've never been into that stuff. I'm into, hey, go on with the franchise if you want, but continue on. Don't start all over. Don't, okay, that's one of the reasons I absolutely fucking love Cobra Kai. It wasn't a reboot, a
Right.
reimagining, whatever, a remake. They just picked
Okay.
up and continued on.
And we would, okay, and so then we would do that. We would make a the best Highlander movie we could make that takes place in that universe but isn't of that, so to
Right.
speak.
Like, that's why I hate reboots and remakes.
Okay, and you realize that the fans of the Highlander franchise would shit all over our movie.
I don't think so. I really don't, because we are no here now. Listen to me. The Highlander franchise and the fans, it's a very niche group. Correct. I mean,
Sure.
fair. Okay. And we're all of roughly pretty close to the same generation, the same age.
Right.
And I think most of us all want to see the same types of things that we've never gotten to see. But putting Highlander aside and putting all that aside, the reason I hate remakes and reboots is because, to me, they shit on the legacy that's been created. Like, nope. We're not, none of that's good enough. We're going to wipe all of that completely out of existence, and we're going to start our own thing. And now Buffy's going to be whatever, a fucking an Amazonian whatever, and just go crazy. I hate that shit. I just hate it. I'm like, don't you shit on the fucking legacy that's been created, and just bastardize it for the name. Because how many things, I can't tell you how many things have been, quote, rebooted or remade where they come out and it's like, well, other than the name, this bears no fucking resemblance to anything involving this. Like, don't get me started on the fucking Star Wars sequels. Jesus, what a fucking clusterfuck of stupidity that was. Ryan Johnson should be shot with a dull bullet, but yeah, I can't stand that, and anyway, I mean, we're like,
Well, I was just gonna say
That's
we're 40 minutes into this, and we're not going to come to any sort of gentleman's agreement on this. I'm all for continuations and remakes and reboots and reimaginings.
when done correctly, I am too.
Because I tried to watch Netflix's He-Man show, the new He-Man show.
Yeah, and it was stupid.
Not the one Kevin Smith did, not Revelations,
Mhm.
because Revelations is a direct continuation of
Mhm.
the old Filmation. I loved that one. I loved Revelations, the
Mhm.
Kevin Smith one. I thought it was really good.
That's because Kevin Smith knows what's up, son.
But that was made for us. I tried to watch the new Netflix He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and I couldn't get into it. I didn't care for it. My youngest two nephews love it. They think it's fantastic.
Well, they're stupid then.
And and I enjoy
Slap them both.
I enjoy watching them watch it because I understand that He-Man isn't made for me. It's made for them. It's got the core foundations of what He-Man was, and it's taken it and done it's reimagined it. It's done something new with it. It's done something that is designed to appeal to today's kids. And that's fine.
I just don't see the necessity. Go create something else,
Oh.
It's not that difficult. I mean, hell, He-Man was invented just to sell action figures, and it
Right. I think the
oddly
necessity
became a popular show.
I think, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. I think the necessity of it lies in that if it's not um, for lack of better terms, if it's not recreated or reimagined or rebooted for the current generation, then it's going to die out completely.
I don't
And
agree with that.
and our generation is never going to get anything new.
I don't agree with that because I grew up watching all sorts of my dad's generation's old stuff. You know, Mr. Ed and Bewitched, and you know, I don't agree with that. Oh, it'll die out if we don't. No, if you leave it the fuck alone and let it marinate and percolate, and people will discover it and be like, holy shit. But when you go and you have to like,
who's the last person you talked to that knows what Mr. Ed is?
no, but now we're looking at what 3 generations that it's been.
Right.
But and trust me, fucking Hollywood will remake fucking Mr. Ed. You mark my fucking words.
Good, they should.
No, they shouldn't. Go create something fucking new. That's the things I love most about Hollywood now is like when it's something completely fucking new outside of the box, like holy shit. When it's like, well, here's, you know, I don't know.
The thing is, your Mr. Ed tirade exactly illustrates my point. They've never tried to do anything new with Mr. Ed, and now if you were to ask anyone 10 years, probably 10 years younger than us, what Mr. Ed is, they wouldn't have any fucking clue.
Okay.
Mr. Ed.
Here's my argument.
Mr. Ed has died out.
Let it die then. If it needs to die, let it die. It will fucking be rediscovered. Mark my words.
Okay, Kylo Ren.
But
anyway, this week we're diving into what were you saying?
No, I was just saying, you know, let it die. Then let it die. Listen, my final thing that I want to say about the whole situation is just this: when done correctly, I have no problems with a reboot or well, no reboots and remakes. No, those are just out. No, it shouldn't happen. Continuations, I have no problem with. I mean, like I said, look at Cobra Kai. I fucking love Cobra Kai.
Right.
You know?
But that's what I'm saying. Continuations are for fans of the original.
Mm-hmm.
They're designed to continue and grow with us, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. And if new fans discover it and they go back and they watch the Karate Kid movies and they love them and they're fans, that's great. But at the same time, the younger generations watch Cobra Kai and be like, "Man, this is dumb. This is stupid." So then it just kind of fades away.
So what? That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you know.
And what I'm saying is without the Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith Karate Kid remake, we probably never would have gotten Karate Kid. I'm not or Cobra Kai. I'm not saying that that's a good movie. What I'm saying is without that movie and without the backlash to that movie, we probably never would have gotten Cobra Kai.
You just illustrated my point for me on reboots and remakes. Fucking Jackie Chan and fucking that little shitbag Will Smith's fucking.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah,
we're
fuck
done.
all that.
We're done.
All of it.
We're done.
Fuck it.
We're done.
Fuck it.
We're done.
Eat it.
We're done.
What?
We're done.
What?
We're done.
Okay, why don't you take us into some juicy dates and deeds?
This week we will be tackling Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 5, the 39th episode of the series overall, Homecoming. Our episode director this week is David Greenwalt, and he is also our episode credited writer for this week. Our original air date was November 3rd, 1998 on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen rating was 4.3 million households on its original airing. It ranked 95th out of 134 original network primetime shows for the week, and third out of the 15 original shows airing on the WB for that week. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia, David Boreanaz as Angel, Seth Green as Oz, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our guest stars this week include, and this is a doozy, K. Todd Freeman as Mr. Trick, Jeremy Ratchford making a return appearance as Lyle Gorch, who we may remember as one of the cowboy vampire brothers from season 2, episode 12, Bad Eggs. Fab Filippo as Scott Hope, Ian Abercrombie as the German's boss, Harry Groner as Mayor Richard Wilkins, Eliza Dushku as Faith, Danny Strong as Jonathan, Jack Plotnick as the deputy mayor, Alan Finch Jason Hall as Devin, Joseph Daub as Hans Grunstaller, Jermine Daub as Frederick Grunstaller, Lee Everett as Candy Gorch, Tori McPetrie as Michelle, and Blake Chad Stelsky as Kulak.
Blad.
Woo! Kulak.
That's one of my new favorite names is Blad.
Blad.
If I ever have a child, I'm naming it Blad.
Our episode synopsis this week reads, Cordelia's apparent lock on the Homecoming Queen title inspires Buffy to show her up, and Mr. Trick brings together a band of dangerous killers.
Okay. Mine reads as Buffy and Cordelia Jesus. Now I'm Blad. As Buffy and Cordelia vie for Homecoming Queen, a group of killers gather to participate in SlayerFest 98.
All right.
I'd say they're both pretty good this week.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty good this week. So let's dive right into it. We open in the Bronze, and Willow and Oz and Buffy are sitting there with some drinks, eating some snacks. Buffy's kind of off in her own little world, fiddling with a cookie. And Xander and Cordy.
Did you happen to notice the food on there this week? The Bronze's food deal?
No, did you?
Well, I noticed just a couple of things quickly, but it appeared that everyone that had a plate in front of them had a couple of like sugar cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed it might have been an apple rind. I wasn't really sure what it was on because I kept trying to pause it and go, but it didn't have a good shot of it. But it could have been a mouse carcass. I don't know. But so basically, we can add sugar cookies to the Bronze's menu.
Yeah, I did have cookies added because, like I said, Buffy is fumbling with a cookie.
Yeah. And Willow has. Oh shit! Now I can't remember. I think Willow has 3 of them on her plate.
Wow, what a!
And I was like, "Wow, Willow's diabetes much?"
Jeez, yeah, heifer, calm down.
Calm down with the cookies. Leave some for the rest of us.
I like a good sugar cookie just as much as the next guy will. Jesus.
So, sugar cookies officially added to the Bronze's menu because I couldn't tell what that rind was. I believe it was an apple, but I could.
We've got sugar cookies, stale ass cornbread muffins.
Mm-hmm. Someone would have to go back, man, through all the episodes because we've always named every food item that we were able to.
Yeah.
Oh, cornbread muffins.
Right. I just said cornbread muffins.
Oh, okay. I'm retarded. There was one other just ridiculous. Oh, it's been too long. I think it was from season 1. There was one other just ridiculous item. We were like
raisins.
Oh, raisins, yes, boxes of raisins. Yes.
We couldn't determine if Willow had brought the raisins herself or if she had purchased them there at the Bronze.
I like to imagine she purchased them at the Bronze.
I do too.
So,
like, she just went up to the bar.
I'll take 2 boxes of raisins and 1 stale cornbread muffin.
And give me 3 sugar cookies, please.
And 3 sugar cookies. And the guy's like, geez, we only have a dozen.
And then she's like, and a red Solo cup of water, please.
Yeah, because we never get to see what's inside those cups.
No.
Because they'll always say, would you like another drink? Or can I
Right.
get you another drink? They don't say what it is.
Right.
Because what if somebody was like, yeah, I would. Are you even going to ask me what I would like to drink? Because I'm assuming it's, soda. Like it's, like there's a soda fountain, like they go up there and they're like, whatever soda they want. And like when Scott asks Buffy in this episode, can I get you another drink? Like, what if she's like, yeah, are you at least going to ask me what I want to drink?
Right. She would just be like, yeah, I'll take another one. And then he'll takes the cup. And I mean, this doesn't happen.
He just has to go pick something.
Right. Like spoiler alert, he asks if she wants another drink and she's like, no, I'm good. Thanks. But like, what if she had been like, yeah, like,
then he gets all the way up there and he's like, fuck, I didn't ask her what she
right.
So he's like, I'll take Diet Coke.
Right.
And then she gives it back to her and she's like, the fuck, do I look like I need to lose weight?
Right. So she would have been like, yeah, I'm drinking whatever. Or he would have been like, okay, what are you drinking? But no, like inevitably what would have happened is she would have been like, yeah, I'll take another drink. And then like Jeremy said, Scott would have had to go to the bar and been like, I don't know what the fuck she was drinking.
Yeah. And then he gives it to her and she throws it in his face because he brought a Diet Coke.
Right. Or she looks at it and it's just like clear liquid. So she sips and it's like, Sprite. And she's like, the fuck? Why would I drink Sprite?
Hey, wait now. That's my favorite soda. Of
course it is.
Well, not my favorite. My all-time.
It's the Uncola.
No, my favorite soda is Dr. Pepper. I just can't drink it anymore because I have to avoid caffeine.
Speaking of Dr. Pepper, we have gone so off course.
It's like 45 minutes in
since the beginning of this episode, and we've discussed very little of the episode. For a short time, and by short time I mean close to like 6 months, I had what I'm gonna say was a legitimate addiction to the Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
I never got to try that. They hadn't come out with all these different Dr. Pepper flavors when I was still able to partake.
Yeah, I was like, it was bad.
Is caffeine-free Dr. Pepper a thing there in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get it here.
Really?
Yeah, because
it's
like
Indiana.
I would fuck you, man. I would eat. I don't know, broken glass if I could get my hands on some fucking caffeine-free Dr. Pepper. Just can't get it here at all.
I'll see what I can do about sending you some.
Thank you, sir.
Quite welcome.
Box 69.
69. Dime bag.
Okay, we're 48 minutes.
Let's rip through this cold open real quick. We're at the Browns. Cordy,
fire starts, everybody dies.
Everyone dies. We're at the Browns. Buffy, Willow, Oz at the bar, eating sugar cookies, drinking sodas, maybe water, who knows. Buffy's distracted. Willow and Oz are talking about the possibility of taking a limo to the upcoming homecoming dance. Xander and Cordy walk up, sit down. Little more banter about the limo. Cordy starts talking about running for homecoming queen. Buffy's still distracted. Scott shows up, finally asks her to the homecoming dance, which he hasn't asked her to yet, but it's apparently happening within the next couple of days. She says yes. He asks if she wants another drink. She says, no, I'm tired. I'm going to book. I have a question. How much time as boyfriend and girlfriend are they actually spending together? Because every single fucking time Scott shows up to talk to Buffy, Buffy's like, hey, I got something to do. Peace out, bro. Talk to you later. And then books. Yeah. And then books. Yeah. Okay. So.
But then again, look at this guy. Would you be,
Right. I mean, he's
after
not.
Angel, this fucking jerk off?
Right. Right. He's not doing anything for my schwanza.
No.
If I was Buffy, he wouldn't be making me moist.
Oh.
So Buffy's like, nah, I'm tired. I gots to go. Peace out, Scott. Books it. Gives him a little kissy kiss. Books it. Boom.
Drop him on the way out.
Boom. We're at the mansion. Angel's there. He's Mr. Silent Guy.
Hey, at least he finally got a fucking shirt.
He's got his shirt. He's Mr. Silent. It isn't buttoned up because we need to see that chisels.
Yeah.
We need to see that chisel.
Yeah.
He's fidgety. He's nervous. He hears something outside. Do you remember? Does he open a door or does he push a curtain to the side?
It's a goddamn curtain.
That's
dude.
what I thought.
Like
That's what I'm trying to. He's got like a fucking shower curtain hanging at his entrance. He pushes it aside. It's Buffy. She's all like, it's just me. Boom. Gives him some blood that she got wherever.
It looks like it came in a Starbucks bag.
Right. She probably went down to the Coffee Bean. That's the name of the coffee shop, right?
Right.
Is that what it is? The Coffee Bean?
I don't know, but we can go with Coffee Bean.
She went down to the coffee
with the burnt bean.
She went down to the coffee shop. She was like, "Hey, do you have any pig's blood?" And they're like, "Yeah, actually, we do." Gives her a big old container of pig's blood. She gives him the blood. He goes to drink it.
First they're like, "Why the fuck do you want pig's blood? And why would we just like collect that shit?"
Right. But also they're like, we have some, but the question still remains: why do you want it, and why did you know we had it or think we might have it? Anyway,
and do we now need to kill you so you don't tell anyone else?
Right. So
she
anyway,
offs all of them and takes it.
Right. So anyway, Angel goes to start drinking, and Buffy's like, "Yo, I haven't told any peeps that you're back yet. Not Giles, not the others. We're going to pause right here because I want to talk about very briefly. I mentioned this before we started recording. I loved how when she mentioned Giles, David Boreanaz plays it like, and he says Giles's name in a way clearly the incidents that took place prior to his going to that hell dimension are a long, distant, damn near forgotten memory for him.
Until he remembers it.
Right. Because he was gone for so long. Because you can see it in the way he says Giles's name and the look on his face that this is a person and occurrences that he hasn't thought about in ages and a day.
Yeah.
And you can see it play out on his face when he does remember who Giles is and remembers what he did to Giles.
And then he's immediately like, yeah, maybe not telling them would probably be the way to play this.
he actually doesn't say anything because his literal only line of dialogue in this entire episode is Giles.
Yeah. Giles, and then a lot of grunting and like panting and moaning
and fidgeting. Yeah.
Oh no, he has another line. He has another word. Well, where he says it hurts less.
Oh yeah. So she tells him that she hasn't told anyone he's back yet. She says she's gonna keep helping him get better and everything, and then she proceeds to lay it on him that she's doing great. She's seeing someone. He's a real stand-up guy. All this other shit.
And she needs someone who's reliable.
Right.
And I'm like, God, he just came back from literal hell.
Right. That you sent him to.
Like,
come on.
Couldn't you at least ease into the whole you're fucking banging a nerd?
Right.
No.
He turns around abruptly at this point. I liked this too. He turns around abruptly and she jumps. Like she's scared.
She like flinches.
She's scared.
You're like, oh fuck, Angelus is back.
and I loved that because it was an interesting dichotomy between how, like I said, for him, everything that happened is ages centuries ago.
Mhm.
Centuries ago. For her, it's still just a few months ago.
Right.
So
3 months for us, 300 years for him.
So I liked how this scene kind of played those two things off of each other.
Yeah.
And we cut to school the next day where Scott promptly dumps Buffy.
Yep. With no fucking forewarning or foreshadowing whatsoever. I felt like this came out of left field.
Right.
Because he was totally into her at the bronze, you know, you could tell he.
So he dumps her, and but yes, it's very much out of left field, but at the same time, the explanation he gives her ties right back into what you and I were just talking about moments ago. He's like, you're distracted all the time and you're never really present, yada yada, which we literally were just like, how much time are they actually spending together? Because every time he shows up to see her, she fucking books it.
But I've seen their entire relationship as basically like a couple of people who are dating, not necessarily boyfriend, girlfriend. Like they've gone on some dates and stuff. That's what it seems like to me. But apparently it was more.
Right.
But I don't. It didn't have to. I whatever. I don't know. I'm just glad it's over because it wasn't. This Scott kid, he's okay, but he has no chemistry at all with SMG on camera. There's no.
But yeah, like to me, I didn't feel like it came out of left field because he pretty much like goes on to give her the reason that he's breaking up with her is exactly what we just talked about. Like every time he shows up, she's like, "Peace, I gotta go. Things to do."
But I'm
vampires
like, bro,
to kill.
You're gonna dump her? Are you high? Have you seen her?
listen. Suspension of disbelief means that we're supposed to believe that Scott Hope is
in the same league as Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Is a fairly popular, attractive member of the male population at Sunnydale High, is what we're supposed to believe. So listen,
but clearly he isn't.
He's better looking than me. He's better looking than you.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I beg your fucking pardon,
sorry.
sir.
Sorry.
Take a look at all of this going on.
Sorry.
You fuck right off. That's it. This episode's over.
Sorry. I'm just.
But she went from Angel to this.
Oh, is he on par with David Boreanaz? No, fuck no.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're supposed to believe that she went from Angel to this guy.
Right. But
he literally looks like he's 12.
Okay, but also, like, if I was standing next to Scott Hope, or you were standing next to Scott Hope, or all three of us were standing together, who do you think Buffy's gonna go for?
Me. Obviously.
So anyway,
she's gonna look at you two sacks of shit and be like, "Oh, crikey." Well, at least he's hanging out with these losers and giving them something to do.
So anyway, Scott dumps Buffy, wanders off. Buffy starts wandering around outside the school by herself, completely unaware that two dudes in a van are watching her and recording her. And
by the way, are they twins?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't decide.
Well, I mean, based on the actors' names, I don't think they actually are twins, but
they sure as shit look like.
Oh wait, no, they are. It's Joseph Daub and German Daub. So yeah.
German Daub?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Jermyn, German.
Huh. Well, I'm American Davis.
And they're transmitting what they're seeing of Buffy to an old man in a mansion, and the old
time out. We have to time out here.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish this real quick.
Okay.
And the old man in the mansion is like, "Is this her?" and Mr. Trick pops in to screen, and he's like, "Yep, that's the one," and that's our cold open. Go ahead, talk to us about this technology. I know that's what you want to talk about.
This technology is stupid. It even with broadband, this technology is only about as good as they showed today. I mean, this is like clear 480p video that they're sending to this guy
Being wirelessly transmitted,
wirelessly from a cell phone.
right?
Okay.
Plugged into a modem.
Which which was not a thing ever in the history of the world. Maybe there were super expensive models that government officials had, but you couldn't take a fucking, a Nokia and plug it into your fucking modem. It was so stupid, so stupid. And then, like I said, the old man starts receiving the video from his end, and it's like 480p standard definition, which I'm like, no, because you're on a cell phone dial-up, because hotspots were not a thing. Like, you would be getting
that image would be so compressed.
Oh, and it would just
so
be
pixelated.
It would take 20 minutes for him to download like I don't know, 10 seconds of the video.
Right. Anybody that tried to download porn in 1998
yes,
knows exactly what we're talking about. Right. Right. And I'm not even talking about like videos. I'm talking JPEG.
Yeah, JPEGs. It's like
yeah. Right.
And then you get all the way to the bottom, finally the picture where you're going to see the whole woman and she's got a dick.
Right.
And you have to fucking, you're just like, I guess I'm into transsexuals, because
right. I was just
not
going to
download.
You've got to make a split second decision, because you've been sitting there in the family computer room, which you're not supposed to be in,
with your dick in your hand.
With your dick in your hand for 45 fucking minutes, okay? Waiting for this picture to download, and all of a sudden you're getting to the goods. Like, you started when there were titties on the screen, okay? You started, but you wanted the good stuff, because come on,
because you're a sick bastard.
You're right, you're sick, but also, like, you're 14, 15, 16. You've already seen titties.
Right.
I mean, could you get off to them? Sure, right, but you want the good stuff. All right. You want to see the
and
good
you
stuff.
finally get to it.
So you're waiting, and you get to it, and boom, dick. There's a dick. So you gotta make a split second decision. Are you into chicks with dicks? Yep. And you know what? You are.
At that point, you
are. 45 minutes in the family computer room, which you're not supposed to be in at this time of night, quietly trying to download a porn picture, not a video, a picture. Yeah. You decide right then,
on like a 33.6
on dial-up, on AOL dial-up. You've got mail.
You've got porn.
You're dreading it. You're in there. It's 10 o'clock at night. Everyone else is sleeping. You've got the lights off. You're hoping that the monitor glow isn't alerting anybody. You're sitting there. All of a sudden, you hear, "You've got mail." Fuck. I forgot to turn the sound down. So, yeah, trust me. That dick pops up on screen. You don't have time to wait. You know what you do? You just scroll back up to the tits, and you do what you got to do.
Yep. And then you sneak back into your room just in time before your dad sneaks in there to do the same thing.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, sorry about that.
Sorry, folks.
We wouldn't know anything about that stuff.
No. No, we don't know. We don't.
So
an hour and 10 minutes into this episode, and we've only covered the cold open. What the fuck?
Yeah. We could just do an overall expose on the episode. We don't need to go scene by scene. We meet the mayor in this episode finally, who's been talked about numerous times. Well, for the end of last season and several episodes this season, he's been mentioned many times.
Right.
You finally meet him. He seems to be. He's OCD, And
Yeah.
everyone on the planet is scared of him, or everyone that knows him is scared of him. We don't really know why yet, but he definitely puts off that vibe of what the fuck is with this guy.
Yes. Yes.
So we meet him, and that's really the end of the episode. Let's get into some
Here.
monsterology.
I'm gonna start. You know what? I'm gonna start, and you interject where you want to interject. Okay.
Okay.
And I will cover this.
Okay. You have 10 minutes.
We come back from the opening credits. We're at City Hall. We meet Mayor Richard Wilkins the third, and he learns from his
Esquire.
deputy mayor. What?
Esquire.
Esquire. We learned from his deputy mayor that two German brothers with very impressive criminal records have recently been spotted in Sunnydale. Their names are Frederick and Hans.
It's actually Hans and Franz, but they didn't mention that.
Right. Gronstaller. And they're the same two men who've been spying on. We see that they're the same two guys that were spying on Buffy. The mayor doesn't seem too worried about it. He's more worried about the deputy mayor's cleanliness and personal hygiene, which he shows by inspecting the deputy mayor's hands. We cut back to Sunnydale High. The senior class is getting their pictures taken in the lounge for the yearbook. Buffy's a no-show, so Cordelia heads to the library to tell her about that pictures are happening. But as she's getting ready to go in, she's distracted, trying to keep campaigning for homecoming queen. Completely forgets to tell Buffy about the pictures. Inside the library, Buffy and Faith decide that they're gonna go to homecoming together. Since Scott fucking kicked Buffy to the curb. We cut to the next day. Buffy asks one of her favorite teachers from the previous school year to write her a recommendation letter to give to Principal Snyder. She needs it, if you remember, she needs it to fulfill one of the conditions that Snyder put on her readmittance back into high school. But Miss Moran has no idea who Buffy fucking is, let alone anything that about her to warrant her writing this recommendation letter. So we cut to the cafeteria. It's lunchtime. Buffy's bummed about that. She gets even more bummed out when she finds out from Xander and the rest of the crew that she missed the yearbook photo session because Cordy forgot to come tell her that it was happening. She's upset with Cordelia. Cordy's in the cafeteria campaigning. She approaches her and kind of tells Cordy off. They go back and forth, and
then a fight starts.
Right, and
it's a late '90s WWF bra and panties match.
Yes,
and wow, this has been watched many times. I'll just say that.
Thank God I didn't have to download this on 336K
right
up.
right right. Oh, sorry.
So they go back and forth for a little while. Finally, Buffy's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm running for homecoming queen. What do you think about that? And we cut to later that night. We see Mr. Trick has assembled a group of individuals at this mansion. He's calling it SlayerFest 98. And this group includes a guy named Frawley. He seems to be less like a human hunter dude. We've got Lyle Gorch, again, back from season 2, episode 12, Bad Eggs, and his wife Candy, both vampires. Of course, we've got the German twins, Frederick and Hans, and who've been tracking Buffy, and we've got Kulak, who's like this yellow-skinned demon with some fucking jagged spikes on his head. Mr. Trick kind of lays out the deal for them. They're all going to hunt Buffy and Faith. We cut to Willow's house. Um, they're trying on their homecoming outfits. Xander's trying on his tux that he borrowed from his rich cousin. Willow's trying on different dresses. Long story short, they fucking start kissing.
And we're talking below the waist kissing.
Oh my god, not below the waist kissing.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, they start making out with each other. Um, uh,
They're gonna do more, and they're both like, "We got to get the fuck out of these clothes. It's these clothes, you know."
right? They're like, what's going on? It's got to be these clothes. We got to get out of these clothes. And they're like, whoa, we didn't mean that right now. And Xander leaves.
Yeah.
And then
And you know he's tugging one out there, and
right in the Rosenberg's hallway.
yeah,
like Mr. or Mrs. Rosenberg could walk by any minute.
Oh no,
and Xander's just there, like
he's dead-eyed. No, she's there. Her mom is out there.
Oh, Mrs. Rosenberg
and
is
he's
there.
staring her dead in the eyes while he completes.
Yeah,
he does not look away.
We cut to the library the next morning, and Buffy's got a whiteboard with the rest of the homecoming candidates on it, and she's got their pictures, names. She's got lists underneath it. She's got listed their pros and their weaknesses, or their strengths and their weaknesses. She's trying to recruit Xander and Willow and Oz to help her win. But Cordy shows up, and we find out that all three of them have already promised their services to fucking Cordelia. Why? Why would they do that, Jeremy?
Because they feel guilty.
Actually, yeah, you're right. We do. We find out later that it's because they felt guilty about the kiss.
And Xander was feeling guilty about Willow's mom, and yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, I couldn't look away, and she didn't look away.
Right.
For that brief 20 seconds.
Right.
It's sweet, passionate I love.
Yeah. So Buffy and Cordy kick their homecoming campaigns into full gear, hoping to outdo each other to win the race. Buffy ends up convincing Willow to give her a little help, and Frederick and Hans are listening in on their conversation.
You mean Hans and Franz?
Paying particular attention to Buffy telling Willow that she got the limo plan solidified, and the limo's going to pick up.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. All right. Now it makes sense.
And the limo's going to pick up Faith first, then Buffy, and then go pick up everyone else.
Now it makes sense. When I came
couldn't figure out why fucking Cordelia was there first.
Well, not how they, but I was like, how did they what? And then I had already forgotten about them overhearing this conversation, because I was like, that's a plot hole.
Later on, why they think Cordelia is a Slayer.
Well, not just that, but how they would even know to like take this limo. And, yeah.
Later that day, Buffy finds out that Cordelia's been paying some people for their votes. That's
kind of smart.
Right. That's what politicians do.
Right. Grease a few palms, man.
Of course, this leads to another argument, except some much more harsh things are said. One of which is Buffy calling Cordelia a vapid whore.
Yes, she does, straight up.
No, this isn't one of our little like.
No, it's not.
We're making this up.
They go from like she takes it up to level 10 in one insult.
Right. What did Cordelia say to Buffy?
Cordelia is like, "You freak." She's like, "You're a freak," and Buffy's like, "You're a vapid whore."
Yeah. Cordelia
like,
literally,
whoa.
like, Cordelia's literally still, like, to me, she's still trying to keep it, like,
Elementary level.
yeah, elementary level. She's still kind of like, we're all still kind of friends. Like, this still needs to be a little friendly, even though we're competing each with each other for this, and I really want it. So she's like, she just calls Buffy a freak, like the most innocuous thing you could think of at that moment. And
Right.
literally Buffy retorts with, "Well, you're a vapid whore."
Yeah, I know. And I was
like,
like,
what?
whoa, that escalated. So yeah, that was a pretty good. Because even Cordelia is like, what the fuck did you call me? And Xander
Yeah.
like pulls her away,
Yeah.
and I was like, she was getting ready to go toe to toe.
I I laughed out loud. I was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
How did we go from you're a freak to you're a vapid whore?"
Right. Well, now wait a minute. I just thought of something. There was a part in that argument where Buffy had said something. She goes, "Don't you even have like who raised you? Don't you have parents?" And Cordelia says, "Yeah, I do. 2 of them, unlike some people."
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that had been kind of percolating, and so
Yeah.
it's like, you vapid whore.
And right. And then and after Cordelia says that, Buffy says to her, I love this line too. She's like, "Is your brain even connected to your
Her
mouth?"
mouth. Yeah, exactly.
Um
But yeah, that was definitely escalated.
yeah. So then Willow and uh Xander are kind of talking about how their kiss is partly responsible for what's going on with Buffy and Cordelia right now. Um, and eventually the conversation turns to the bigger fucking issue at hand, which is what are they going to do uh, about what's happening between them right now?
And
We
what
cut.
was like the only solution that I see is that we fuck.
Yeah,
And Xander's like, all right, he's already got his pants off.
right.
He's like, I thought you were going to say that, so I went ahead and disrobed early.
Yeah. Um, we cut to later that night, and the limo pulls up at Buffy's house, and Buffy gets in, and Cordy's inside instead of Faith. And there's a note in the limo from the rest of the gang, and basically it's like, you know, we decided we're not going to take the limo with you guys. You and Cordy need to work out your differences. Um, and there's a couple of corsages with the note that they put on.
And did you notice Cordelia's then on the one Cordelia, she takes, what did she tell Buffy? She took the orchid.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little tag on Cordia's that says vapid whore. That's how she knew to take the orchid.
Right. So they're in the limo, and the limo eventually stops, and they get out, but they're not at the dance. They're in the middle of the woods. Question: did neither of them look out the fucking window at all during the ride? Like, because they weren't conversating.
No, and they're both looking out the window instead of looking at each other.
Right.
And then Buffy's like, "Oh, we're finally here."
Right.
And I'm
And
like, the windows aren't that tinted, guys.
right. And they get out, and they're in the fucking middle of the woods. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
They didn't feel this bumpy, like,
Right.
like,
I was like,
we don't feel like we're on pavement anymore.
right. I was like, how the fuck did you guys let this happen? Like, it's
And
not like
it was like a 3.5 hour drive, and
I
neither
was-
one of them realized it.
right. I was literally like, what? Like, it's not like you guys were like engaged in deep, thought-provoking conversation where you didn't take your eyes off of each other. We saw, at the very least, Buffy looking out the window.
They're literally in another state. It's been 3.5 hours. They're in like fucking Reno.
They're in Nevada now.
And neither one of them noticed it.
No, not at all.
And then you hear them.
They're
pull
like
up.
an hour outside of Vegas.
Yeah, you hear the fucking driver get out, close his door, and you hear toot, 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 and he literally runs away. I'm like, where the fuck is he running to? They're in the middle of the goddamn woods.
Right.
So it was part of his payoff. Like, listen, we're gonna pay an extra $100 because when you bring them out here and you park, we need you to leave. And he's like, well, how am I gonna get home? And they're like, you have to walk.
Right.
From Reno back to Sunnydale.
from Reno back to Sunnydale. I'm going to presume that whoever was like the limo driver, the original limo driver, is long dead.
Okay, but still, the person who you hear them and their footsteps go off in the distance, like they have to run home.
Right.
They're not catching an Uber.
They're
in the woods.
Although I kind of made the presumption that it was Folly driving the limo, the hunter.
Oh,
that first shows up.
Not the hillbilly, the Daniel Boone kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, could be.
That was my presumption.
And maybe he was just running off to his stash of weapons to get ready to.
Right.
Okay. I never thought of that. I just thought, where's the guy who drove? Like, he just has to run back through the woods.
Right.
Like...
Right. Sometimes when you've probably know, like sometimes when I'm watching, my mind, like I automatically fill in plot holes with like exposition. Like, oh, well, it was probably the hunter guy.
But see, my mind always goes to like the logistics of a situation like that, where it's like, wait, that poor bastard has to run all the way home through the woods. And like, I wonder if they gave him extra money. Does he have like bear mace at least? You know?
So yeah, they get out of the limo. They're in the middle of the woods. Not only are they in the middle of the woods, there's a fucking VCR and a TV set up there on a table.
Plugged into the tree.
Yeah, like that was gonna be my next question. How are they fucking powering this VCR and television?
Well, that particular tree is known as the electroconus conifer.
Oh, indigenous to
Sunnydale, or I'm sorry, Reno, Nevada forests. And yeah, so that's how they just plugged it right into the trunk of the tree.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a sign, of course, that tells them to hit the play button. So they hit the play button, and
all of a sudden, this little guy on a tricycle says, "I want to play a game."
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, fuck this!" and they just stop the video. And
they stop the video.
There's never anything else happens.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode. It's actually not the end of that. They stop the video, and they go to get back in the limousine. When they open the doors, they get gassed.
Yeah,
we cut to black, and then when the scene comes back, they're in an ambiguous room, and they're both wearing those Venus flytrap traps from Saw 2.
Yeah, and he's like, "I buried the key in your friend's asshole, and you have to dig it out with your tongue, or you both die in 5 seconds or 5 minutes." Sorry. What? Shut up. That's just my fantasy, okay?
Nothing. Oh man, I hope someone's gonna clear your browser history as soon as you die.
And Buffy's like, well, he said 5 minutes, Cordy.
Right.
You know.
The thing is, he doesn't specify whose ass.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So, unfortunately for us as viewers, right, we have to watch them taking turns eating each other's.
You love me and you know it.
Oh, how did we end up here?
Because it's me. I'm pretty.
So they watch the video, and it's Mr. Trick, and he welcomes Buffy and Faith to SlayerFest '98. Because obviously,
is any of this necessary that he has to announce to them what's happening? For like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why couldn't they just started being hunted right then? Like, why does he have to make a video and, well, here's what's happening. You guys are being hunted, and
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is there any purpose? No, there isn't.
Yeah. So he tells them that they have 30 seconds from the time the tape started to get a head start on being hunted by this group of people.
And she's like, I just fished out that key.
Um,
I don't have the energy.
Cordelia is where did I stop? Oh, Cordelia is loudly trying to clear up the confusion about the fact that she's not a Slayer, and the monitor explodes and the hunt is on. They take off through the woods, and the first person they run into is Frawley, who's the regular human hunter. And he ends up getting caught in one of his own bear traps, and Buffy snags his rifle, threatens to put a bullet in his head unless he tells them about the other people in the group of hunters, which he
did
does.
this matter at all to the overall outcome?
Which he does. Buffy and Cordelia end up finding a abandoned cabin that they hide in.
Finally, a place where they can get the other key.
Meanwhile, we're at the homecoming dance, and Xander and Willow are feeling guilty and ashamed and moping around the dance. Giles shows up, and he's got a funny line. He runs up to them, like they're kind of standing like on the outskirts of the dance floor, and oh, I should mention the homecoming dance. Where's the homecoming dance happening? The Bronze. What?
All of their school extracurricular activities seem to take place at the Bronze.
I don't. What?
They don't. Well, I was going to say that maybe they don't have a gymnasium. We know they have a gymnasium.
We know they have a gymnasium. We saw it in season 1 numerous times.
Well, we saw it in the opening, wasn't it? Yeah, the opening episode. Welcome to the Hellmouth, right? It was in the first fucking episode.
Oh yeah, like you said, we saw it numerous times throughout season 1.
Well, then I don't know. Maybe Principal Snyder's just cheap. And well, no, we know he leaves the school open and unlocked 24 hours a day.
Also,
no.
Also, him being cheap does not lead to renting out an entire bar for your school dance.
Maybe the students have to pay for it. I don't fucking.
That's where the ticket money goes to.
Yeah,
pays to rent out the Bronze.
Pays the tab to rent. I mean, listen, they have to pay. Listen. The fucking menu, son. We're talking cornbread muffins and sugar cookies, all right? That shit doesn't come free.
Right, that's true. That's true. So anyway, Giles runs up between Xander and Willow, who are standing kind of on the outskirts of the dance floor, and he's a little frantic, and he's like, "Where's Buffy? Something terrible's happened." And like they kind of look at him, and he's like, "I'm just joking."
Yeah, just wanted to scare you. And I was like, wait a minute, wouldn't that have played better in like a Halloween episode?
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Like this was just like a homecoming, and he decides I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna scare the shit out of these two. You know. Oh, and then he sees finger sandwiches.
Right, and
he's like, "Oh, finger
sandwiches!"
And he disappears over to the table.
Right, and like Willow and Xander just kind of look at each other.
Yeah, like what the fuck? It's almost like Giles came to the dance as a chaperone. I mean, that's why he's there, but
right,
he acts like he's been smoking weed. Like he acts high. Like he's like, just kidding. There's nothing major happening. Ooh, finger food, and he disappears. Like he was totally fucking getting high before he came.
So he and then he circles back to Willow and Xander, who are now sitting kind of over by where the finger sandwiches are, and he's like it tastes like the finger sandwiches might have actual fingers in them, and he sees that he gets no response from them, and then he commends them on doing such a good thing by arranging for Cordelia and Buffy to be in the limo together to work out their differences. And of course, that leads to Willow and Xander feeling even more guilty about their kiss.
Did you happen to see? Because then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go to the library."
Right.
And did you happen to see what he did with the remainder of his sandwich? And
Yeah, he shoved it in Xander's lap.
he just shoves it in Xander's lap and leaves. And Xander just sits there like, I am trash.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. I
did
love
too.
Giles in this episode.
Oh yeah, he's high.
I
He's
love
high as
Giles
fuck.
in every episode, but this, for some reason, like,
He found like a really old stash, like one of the high school kids' stash, and he's like, "Fuck it, dude. I haven't smoked in so long. I'm just gonna roll a doobie." And yeah, he's fucking baked.
right. So we cut back to the cabin, and Cordelia finds a phone. Buffy calls Giles at the library, but doesn't get an answer, so she leaves a message. And they kind of go back and forth about the homecoming queen thing. And Cordy doesn't really understand why Buffy wants to be homecoming queen. She's got the whole Slayer thing, and Buffy's all like, "Bitch, because that's all I've got. I want to have some semblance of a fucking normal life, you vapid whore." Calls her a vapid whore again. No, she doesn't call her a vapid whore again. But she does.
That's the point where Cordelia busts out a fucking switchblade out of her purse, and she's like, "One more fucking vapid whore from you,
and I'm cutting your tits off."
Head fucking. God damn! I'm gonna cut your tits off. Okay.
I'm gonna slice you from vag to tit.
Woo! She's not fucking around. All right.
Not fucking around.
Let's make that
She's
clear.
tired of being called a vapid whore.
Yeah,
I would be too.
She's had enough. She's had enough.
Right. No, but Buffy does explain to Cordelia that she's running for homecoming queen because she wants a high school memory that doesn't involve just being the Slayer, which I get, but at the same time, she was all of these things at Hemery High already before she became the Slayer. So it's not like she doesn't have these memories.
How the fuck did you remember the name of that school?
I just do.
I would have, if someone had a gun to my head, my brains would be on the wall right now because I would never have been able to pull that out.
Sorry. At that point, Kulak bursts into the cabin and attacks Buffy.
And it's actually not Kulak, it's Kool-Aid. So he's like, "Hey!"
Oh yeah!
He breaks through the wall and shit.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I did the Fat Albert thing.
You did do the Fat Albert.
Yeah, my bad.
It's okay. At the same time, he busts into the cabin. Frederick and Hans show up at the cabin, and they've been directed there by the old man, who's tracking Buffy and Cordelia from the mansion. The fucking German brothers launch fucking. It's a missile launch. Is it a grenade launcher or a missile launch? It's a grenade launcher.
Grenade, yeah, but the yeah. Go ahead.
The grenade is shaped like a missile. It's weird.
It's ridiculous. It's not anything that actually exists.
So they fucking launch it into the cabin. Buffy grabs Cordelia and they dive out a window. Kulak goes to dive out a window too, but it's fucking boarded up. So he literally bounces back off the window and right on top of the grenade as it explodes.
Yeah. From the time that they shot that they shoot that grenade out of the gun, it goes into the window and lands in the cabin. It's like 10 seconds before that thing explodes. So it's a completely useless piece of ordnance, just FYI.
Right. So he gets blowed up. Buffy and Cordelia head back to the library, which we cut to, and we see that Lyle and Candy are there, and Giles has once again been knocked out. I think our Giles knockout count is at 11 now. since
Well,
the
like I
beginning
said,
of the series.
he's got a serious fucking case of CTE at this point.
Right.
He has had some traumatic fucking brain injuries.
Right. So we cut to the mansion, and some cops have showed up at the mansion, and they haul Mr. Trick's ass out of the mansion and away with them.
Which I never understood why he just didn't vamp throw them across the fucking. Instead, he just struggles and he's like, don't you have a warrant? I'm like, you're an evil vampire. What are you doing?
We cut back to the library. Buffy and Cordelia show up. Buffy fights Candy, and then dusts her.
Dusts her with what, James?
A spatula.
Made of what, James?
It appeared to be plastic to me, but
Yeah.
whatever. Also, let's not forget to. So this is a spatula that Cordelia had grabbed back at the cabin to defend herself with.
Mm-hmm.
Also, aside from the fact that it appears to be a plastic spatula, let's also talk about the fact how Buffy shoves it into Candy. That didn't sound right. Buffy stakes Candy with the apparently plastic spatula, and then it takes approximately 9 hours for Candy to fucking turn to dust.
Not until her husband realizes that she's been staked and says, Candy, and she looks down and she's like, da 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 dust.
Poof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's dusted. Lyle's pissed. He goes into attack, and Cordelia steps up to him and is basically like, if you think Buffy's a badass, I really don't get. It's a good speech. It really is a good speech, but I don't really know how to convey it.
Yeah, she basically just pretends like she's a slayer and she scares him off. So
Yeah.
This is the second time that this guy has pussied out and run away.
and run away.
He did that in season 2, and now he's done it in season 3. And I don't think we ever see him again.
We never see him again. He manages to be one of the only vampires that manages to survive the entire run.
He always
of
pussies
Buffy
out and he's just like, fuck this,
Right.
and he blows down.
But we never see him again in any canon appearances. He does appear in the Chaos Bleeds tie-in comic.
Oh.
From the video game Chaos Bleeds.
Okay.
And there's one other non-canon comic he appears in. And I don't think he dies in either of those.
Well, at that point, once you've established, this guy's got to last forever.
Right.
Once you establish this, you can never kill him off.
Right. So yeah, he runs off. Giles regains consciousness, and
Giles.
and he says something about the corsages that he wasn't the gang didn't say anything about also buying corsages for Buffy and Cordelia, and that's when they notice that there's tracking devices inside the corsages.
They just noticed this, even though they look like giant thumb drives that are sticking out of but they just noticed this.
Right. And that's how the old man's been tracking them from the mansion.
From his supercomputer that's able to do this all, by the way.
Right. So Buffy ends up binding the bugs together with some wet toilet paper, and she ends up leading one of the brothers into a classroom and throws the wad of toilet paper onto his back, at which point the old man gives the other brother the coordinates of the tracking devices, and Frederick and Hans proceed to open fire and shoot each other through a wall and kill each other.
Yep.
We cut back to the mayor's office, and we see that that's where the police officers have brought Mr. Trick, and the mayor introduces himself. He reveals that he's very much aware that Mr. Trick is a vampire and that he wants his help in eliminating the rebellious element from Sunnydale, that being Buffy and Faith. Um, uh, the mayor says the mayor says he's been the mayor for a very long time and says that this is a very big year for him. Both of those things are noteworthy because they will play into events as the season progresses. We cut back to the dance at the Bronze. Buffy and Cordelia finally arrive, and the announcement of the homecoming queen is made, and it is both of the other two candidates in a split decision have been voted homecoming queen, and that is the end of the episode.
Right.
I did forget. I do want to backtrack real quick and mention. I forgot to do it when we mentioned that homecoming was taking place at the Bronze, and our bronze band is Dingo's Ate My Baby, which of course everyone by now knows is really 4-Star Mary, and they were performing She Knows from the album Thrown to the Wolves, released by MSG Records in 1999. Boom, we're done.
Boom. Boom.
That's probably the quickest we've ever done an episode review recap. How about a little monsterology, Jeremy? Would you like that?
How about that?
How about that? Cash me outside. How about that?
Cash me outside. How about that?
There really isn't any monsterology this week. I would say it's heavily influenced by the short story, The Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah, and numerous movies that have been based off that.
Right. The premise is the hunter becomes the hunted, hunted by man. Man being the most
ultimate prey.
Right. The most dangerous game. Our body count this episode is 4.
37? Oh, 4. 4. Okay.
4. Our music this week is Fell Into the Loneliness by Lori Carson from the album Where It Goes, released by Restless Records in 1995. Jodie Foster by the Pinehurst Kids from the album Minnesota Hotel, released by Symbiotic Records in 1997. How by Lisa Loeb from the album Firecracker, released by Geffen Records in 1997. And Fire Escape by Fastball from the album All the Pain Money Can Buy, released by Hollywood Records in 1998. Real quick, a little behind the scenes. Sarah Michelle broke her wrist during the filming of this episode.
Really?
Yes. Jeremy.
Yes.
Why don't you
tell me how or when she broke her wrist?
No, I wasn't able to find that information. Just that she broke it during the filming of this episode.
Okay.
And that in the library scene where she's talking about the people hunting her, you can see the bandage under her sleeve.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Why don't you give me your rating and your final thoughts on this episode?
Well, it's a 3.5.
Okay.
I can't give it a 4 because, I can't. I gave it a 3.5 because it's fucking fun and it's funny and there were no egregious errors or just utter stupidity in this. But it's one of those really fun episodes to me. Not a lot of dialogue. It wasn't dialogue heavy for sure. But it's just one of those fun, kind of bottle episodes. It 3.5, solid 3.5. Nothing bad about it.
Okay. I forgot to specify how many and it doesn't make sense because we didn't mention it in the. Let me preface this by saying, Kulak, our demon hunter, that was hunting Cordy and Faith. At one point in the episode, it is revealed that he has the ability to, um, his forearms open up, and out of his forearms comes sort of some weird, jagged, spiky throwing knives. So, your rating was going to be how many weird, jagged arm throwing knives do you give this episode?
Okay.
So, okay.
James,
Yes, sir.
how many unexplained broken wrists do you give this episode? And give us your final thoughts.
3. It is a 3 for me.
Okay.
It's not a great episode. It's a good episode. It's a fun episode. It's a funny episode.
Yeah.
In particular, the Giles stuff, as brief as it is. And honestly, all the exchanges, all the fights between Cordy and Buffy are pretty funny.
Mhm.
I clearly I got a huge kick out of Buffy just flying off the handle and calling Cordelia a vapid whore. Like,
Yeah.
that was just so
Vapid
unexpected.
whore.
It was just so out of left field and out of pocket for Buffy. But yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah, it didn't reach a 4. It's definitely not on the must see list of episodes. It
It's not
does
must-see TV.
it does fall into the category of, if I was flipping through channels and it was on, I'd leave it on. I'd stop and watch. Like you said, it's a good episode. It's a fun episode. It's a funny episode in parts. It's an episode that, honestly, in hindsight to what's to come, it lays out a lot of important details about, you know, um,
What's
or important things for the rest of the season.
Yep.
It introduces us to the mayor. We find out that he's been the mayor for a very long time. We find out that this is a very important year for him as the mayor. Yeah.
Plus, we
So
get to see Trick in this episode, and I love
right,
that guy.
right. We always love seeing Mr. Trick. He's just extremely charismatic. The actor that plays him is phenomenal. Plays the fuck out of that character.
Yep.
That's the other. We see the pairing of Mr. Trick and the mayor, which is important, along with those other things I mentioned going forward.
We actually find out later that it's a homosexual relationship.
I will say something I continue to be disappointed with, and it's nothing that would have elevated this episode, I don't think. The use of Faith.
Yeah. She's just kind of a afterthought.
Right. And I would like to say that, like, she's just kind of there, but she isn't even just kind of there. Like, she
She's
shows
just kind
up.
of not there.
Yeah, she shows up for a scene or two, and that's it. She's not detrimental to anything. She's not important to anything. It's disappointing, their use of her so far. She did have a funny moment, in the bronze at Homecoming with Scott,
Yeah.
where she kind of gets back at him for breaking up with Buffy. That was funny. But yeah, I don't feel like she's being utilized. And this kind of goes back to, we were talking about Scott ditching or dumping Buffy, and we had mentioned, like, um, Buffy kind of always piecing out on him and stuff. That kind of plays into something we talked about a few episodes ago with, like, why isn't Buffy trying to have more? Like, she says she wants a normal life and she wants to do normal things. She's got Scott right there, who's her boyfriend, but she keeps ditching out to go do Slayer things, and Faith is right fucking there. Why not let Faith shoulder some of that? While you're trying to live a little bit more normal life with this stand-up guy who is your boyfriend. I don't know. That's something that kind of bothered me.
Therein lies the great mystery of Buffy.
Right. I don't know. It's not something that's a big deal overall, but was something that bothered me a little bit watching this episode and watching Scott break up with her over the fact that she's kind of distant and not always present. I was kind of like, there's a whole ass another Slayer in town. Like, fucking be more present in this life you say you want. I don't
She
know.
doesn't really want that life, you know that. She wants that angel life.
Yeah, she wants that angel something. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I stand with this episode.
Right on. All right then. James,
Yes, sir.
got a question for you.
Mhm.
How do people get a hold of us?
By my dick. Oh, what?
What?
People can go to BuffyRevisited.com. They will find 3 links. They will find a link to our email, which incidentally is BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. If you don't feel like going to BuffyRevisited.com and clicking on a link, you can just type that into whatever email provider you use. And
Are you being serial?
yeah, I'm being serial for reals, yo. And send us a little email if you want. You could. There's also a link that'll take you to our Facebook page, where you will see numerous posts from us about
And no one else?
about the Buffyverse. Feel free to comment on any of those and reach out to us that way. Send us a message on Messenger. Um, discuss any of the topics we have posited on the Facebook page to discuss. And there will also be a link to our YouTube page where you can go and watch the video version of this very podcast. Should you choose
this very one?
this very one, should
Wow.
you choose to
Except,
gaze upon our vestiges?
yes. Well, if you can handle all of this sexy in one package.
There is so much sexy happening in these 2 frames.
Scott Hope ain't got
unbelievable.
shit on us, okay?
It's
Let's get that clear.
Listen, am I saying that if we, as young men of high school age, strolled into Sunnydale High, would have not only Buffy, but also Cordelia and Willow, and probably all the other female
And all the guys.
population, and probably some of the guys on our jocks? Would we? Yeah. Yeah, we would.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Underwear and brawls would just come flying, like
It would
hitting
be
us.
it'd be like a fucking Neil Diamond concert.
Exactly. It'd be insane.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So yeah, go to any of those places. Reach out to us, please. We know we joke around a lot. We 175% veered off course a lot during this episode, especially near the beginning.
which we tend to do.
Which we tend to do. It was really bad today for some reason. Not
Yeah.
sure why. Are we going to apologize for it? No, not really.
No.
It's who we are. If you're listening, you've probably come to expect it. Might even have been wondering where it's been a little bit. We haven't gotten this off course in quite a while. And this is going to clock in at our longest episode in quite a few too. All said and done. But anyway, yeah, go to any of those places. Reach out to us. We joke. We get off course. We nitpick, but we do love this universe. Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, Angel, that entire verse. Reach out to us. We would love to discuss all things Buffy and Angel with you guys. We would love to hear your thoughts on either series, episodes, anything like that. Any of the articles we've posted on Facebook or discussed here. Yeah, just reach out to us. We sincerely would love to engage in serious, good discussion and conversation with other fans of these shows.
Reach out and touch someone. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us this week. We look forward to seeing you next week, where we will be discussing season 3, episode 6, Band Candy.
Spoiler alert, this is
Spoiler alert, werewolves. So with all that being said, I've been one of your hosts. My name is Jeremy J.
I'm your other host, Ames J.
I bay. Ot.